So look, like I told her it's no different than peanut butter. She didn't believe.
Were you trying to say that almond butter is better than peanut butter or the same?
What's up, everybody?
Oh, hey.
I'm a heathen, so I prefer olive oil.
Wait.
What?
Okay.
Well, on
to
that
reel
note,
that
That's,
off the
that's an
topic.
interesting one. All right. Great start.
clearly. So, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Gaming Bunch, our lovely Sunday stream.
There you go.
I'm doing well. Liquid Death, what's up? Oh man.
Oh yeah, that phone sounded nice.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah. we're starting off super smooth today. No, welcome. What's up, everybody? How are y'all? How are you boys doing?
Doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Anderson, how about you?
I'm here.
Oh. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Anderson's kind of like laid back in his chair. Usually he's like up, like
Yeah,
chilling.
like all ready to go. Like, but
Yeah.
no,
No,
this time he's like, nah.
I would go back that far if I wasn't afraid my chair would collapse.
Yeah, no, your chair
Honestly.
is literally 2 bolts away from death.
This man's on a tightrope every single time he sits down.
Yeah.
So.
honestly.
Well, we are doing this yet again, having a lovely another Sunday night stream, a little banter, a little bit of discussion. As always, if there's anybody in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. If there's anybody who is watching this on the podcast rewind, thank you so much for tuning in as well to check this out. And if you didn't get a chance to catch the stream, of course, as we're streaming right now, swing on in Sunday nights, 8 o'clock. I'm going to start out by saying, first off, that last night's challenge stream was legendary.
Yes.
Very first one, and it was a banger.
It was a blast.
Oh,
Yes.
and completely random side note, happy 2021 to all the podcast viewers. I don't think we've been able to
Facts.
see that or say that, but
Yep. Yeah, this is actually the very first podcast episode of 2021, as far as stream, that is.
Yeah.
And we made it. We're alive. We're out of 2020. Let's keep on chugging. Happy New Year. Woo.
Fuck 2020 and fuck 2021. Let's go.
I mean, 2020 just started drinking. Here we go. That's all we can really think at this point. But no, so I mean, truthfully, last night was a blast. If you didn't get a chance to see it, definitely tune in on Saturdays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, 8 o'clock in the evening, that is, Eastern Standard Time. And, we're for the first one, it was a lot of fun. And then we also followed up with Among Us. If you didn't tune in last night, we played Payday 2. And that was Payday 2 was it exceeded my expectations.
oh my God.
By
yeah.
far.
It's so good.
Like I was not anticipating
Yeah.
on being that good.
Well, and
But,
also what probably made it fun was, it's just us being dumb 99% of the time. Like, I don't think we ever had like an actually good like gamer moment there.
I don't think we did. It was just us fucking
like it was
around.
just like, just come watch us struggle this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that was an absolute blast. And like I said, followed up with some Among Us. We actually played Among Us for like 4 hours last night.
It was a 6-hour stream.
And
6 hours.
Yeah. 2 hours for Payday, and then 4 hours for Among Us. And Among Us got wild. And it honestly ended with us just trying to find ways to make it more interesting with less people, because people just started dropping like flies,
Yeah.
and we're like,
Doom
we're still
Patrol.
playing. Let's keep going.
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. Oh man. But for today's episode, since this is the podcast, you're tuning in to hear the three of us spout off at the mouth for some reason. Thank
I
you.
don't know why.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. One thing I will say before we jump in is, with 2021, I'm curious to see, based on everything we discussed last year, all the things that we have kind of predicted, how they'll come to light in 2021 and moving forward, like with games and just gaming in general, and a lot of the stuff. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But tonight's episode is all about video games and education. Now, to clarify on that, and we had a little bit of discussion about this prior to decide like which way do we want to go with this, and we had a couple different things come up. I know one of the things was how do video games help education? How can they be used in an educational format? Also, what is the stigma between thinking video games hinders education? And Anderson, you had another one last night. I, for some reason, can't remember it. You had a really good one last night when we were discussing this, and I just don't remember what it was. Do you remember by chance?
Not really.
I had brought up that you're starting to see a lot more colleges and high schools starting to get into esports as well.
Also a good one, yes.
So that's kind of blending, video games and education as best as you can, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we're going to get into that. So there's 3 things. If Anderson remembers his, that'll be 4. But, we'll dive into that. So let's jump in. Video games and education. Now, I want to hear your take on this, each one of us discuss, and of course chat, get involved. If anybody's watching, hop in there, let us know your opinions on this as well. We'd love to know what you think. But with video games and education, I want to start with the hindrance. Do you both believe that video games hinder one's education in any way?
No, they can.
And why?
They can.
Or why not?
Yeah, I mean it's classic tale of really, well, Joe, you and I for sure growing up, because we grew up together, playing a whole lot of video games instead of doing homework and focusing on school like at all. we were very good at not doing schoolwork. And so, it's typically he'd come over to my house or I go over to his house and we'd just play Halo till like 4 a.m., get up 2 hours later.
Or RuneScape.
Yes.
RuneScape is a big one.
Yeah. Yes. That one took a lot of our time.
Yeah, it took a lot of mine as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it can hinder just by, being a distraction. And so I'll fully admit that. Going through it myself.
I would say, as with anything that comes with when you have a good thing, too much of a good thing can be a hindrance in any way. It depends on the person, really, because you could have one guy that plays games like 2 hours and it's still a hindrance. You could have another one that plays games for 8 hours after school and it's not a hindrance. It just depends on the person, how they're brought up, and their own, I guess, ineptitude or aptitude towards how games as a whole relate to them and their responsibilities, as it would be.
Yep.
Can I think it can be a hindrance? Yes. And you would have to quantify it as in what regards. I think it can be a hindrance when it takes over their responsibilities or need to actually do what they're supposed to do. But is it necessarily like a white and black hindrance? No. Much like anything, there's a lot of gray around it.
And part of that,
sure.
Just quick shout out to Biggie B in the chat. It's another guy that we wasted a lot of time playing video games with in school. So what a man.
Very much so. Very much so. I will say this. So it's funny you say that, Anderson. To really, I guess, narrow it down, my thought process behind it is those like teachers and parents who see it as a hindrance because I'll say it first. I firmly agree with Sam. On the fact that growing up, we both grew up with the mentality of screw schoolwork, let's play video games. And I won't lie, there were some classes that I narrowly made it by because I just didn't do any of the homework. And homework was usually like 20 or 30% of the grade. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, yes, I can understand where it would be a problem. I don't think it's a problem where if you are, and we talked about this briefly, I think we kind of mentioned it a little bit in the healthy alternative episode we did a few weeks ago, where if you do allow it to take over your life and not focus on your daily tasks or your daily, responsibilities, then yeah, it's definitely a problem when it comes to education. Because if a kid is focusing more on video games than their education, it would, it's ultimately not going to be a good thing. They're not. It's not going to go in their favor with their classes. You're going to see grades drop and things of that nature there. But I do firmly believe that there is a stigma of thinking that all video games are bad, even in the sense of if you've already done your homework or things of that nature there. Reason being, a reason I say that is because a lot of parents and some that I know as well, I'm not going to name names, of course, that would be rude. But a lot of parents have this mentality that video games are just going to turn your brain to mush, and regardless if you did your homework or not, regardless if you have straight A's or not, that those video games are going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And when it comes to education, generally with education, you're looking at anywhere from, kindergarten, even, because kindergartners can certainly play video games. They may not be dropping in Warzone and going, for a 30 bomb or something, but they're playing video games all the way up to college, like you were saying earlier with esports in colleges. And I think that as a kid, as a kid's growing up, they have to understand the responsibility between maintaining your education, and even when you get to your teenage years, when you start holding it down a job, when you, I worked at a Japanese bistro. I was a sous chef at a Japanese bistro for my I think junior or senior year. And I got fired because I was a piece of crap. Like, I just didn't care about the job. But that's a learning lesson that I had, where I was like, oh, I was focusing on everything else outside of my job, and now I have no income, so I can't go buy video games. I can't go out with my friends because I have no money. It becomes a learning lesson. But if a kid's taught at an early age that they should focus on their education, but also parents realize that video games aren't the problem if that kid is taught correctly, that's I feel is where the stigma lies.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would like to piggyback off that one and say that when it comes to the stigma stuff, yeah, there is a certain stigma, but also you got to look a little bit deeper at that, because when there's a stigma, that usually implies that there's multiple problems that go into that stigma. And I see one of the main ones being that when they blame that games will just turn your brain to mush, or they interfere with education or something like that. That's not, especially when it comes to kids that maybe not teenagers, but kids that are younger than that. That's not necessarily the fault of the child, as it more is the fault of the parent for not teaching them those boundaries and limits and responsibility.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
And when it comes to that,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and when it comes to that, it's just like when you get to that point, it's just like, okay, well, you had to taught your kid in the first place what's priority and what's not, and when they can play games and whatnot. Because ultimately, when it comes down to younger kids and even like preteens and stuff like that, it's the responsibility of the parent to outline those boundaries and everything like that. Because I mean, most people like to do this in general. This is not a blanket statement by any means, but most like to blame the tool or the means of production instead of the actual method. So what I mean by that is, don't you can blame a hammer for smashing your hand with it, but it's not the hammer's fault. It's your fault for not knowing how to properly use a hammer.
Very true.
Oh yeah, no, that's a very valid point. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, well, so kind of going more into that though, with the whole stigma side of things being that video games are a hindrance on education. You can also rope this into the fact, and I know we remember this, but it's still considered a video game. But what was that video game we played in elementary school where you're on the Oregon Trail? Is it called Oregon Trail? I think it was.
It's Oregon Trail.
Yeah, it's Oregon Trail.
Yeah, died of dysentery.
Yeah, it's Oregon Trail.
But that's still a video game.
Yeah.
And I think, I think the biggest thing here is that the stigma is derived from what the culture has viewed as, how the culture outside of gaming has viewed gaming up to this point. Because if you think, when we were growing up, there really was no such thing as, and I say growing up isn't well before our teenage years, before YouTube was established.
Oh yeah.
But there really was no such thing as esports. As far as
we barely had computer labs back then.
Yeah. We still had pretty crappy computers, and if you had a computer lab in your school.
Exactly.
Like,
Like
if
I
you're-
remember I only had one computer in the whole school, and that was in the library.
I remember so much because this also goes into like, you know, funding for education, such and for schools. But Sam, we went to the same school. I remember when our school got their very first electronic whiteboard.
Yeah, the smart boards. Yeah,
Yeah, the
and
smart boards.
and the teachers hated it. I mean, probably
yeah.
for good
Yeah.
reason, but oh man, they hated
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah, I
the
didn't
thing
see
is-
those installed in my school till about 11th, 12th grade.
Yeah,
I think
so.
that's
That's the thing
valid.
is like when you look at it from that standpoint, you know, as you made a good point, Anderson, of the whole like having computer labs and such, and like those who didn't even have those. Like, we grew up in an era where our parents and a lot of the folks who are parents now who grew up with us didn't understand the gaming culture because they saw it as, oh well, if you've played video games, you're lazy, you're a bum, you just want to, you kind of want to just go off in a corner and do your own thing and not worry about your, you know, daily responsibilities. And now, you know, as we've grown, especially in the last decade, with how esports has been on the rise, so much greater, streamers literally making millions of dollars, and, you know, even up and coming streamers being able to somewhat make a daily living on gaming.
Shit, I wish I had that kind of foresight back in high school.
Honestly,
Yeah,
because if any of us had, I guarantee you right now, that's exactly what we would be doing today.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, and so I think the stigma just derives from this odd, really unnecessary connotation that games are just inherently bad from previous generations.
I mean, it's really the case of, like, I hate to bring up like the cursed memes, but it is really a case of boomer versus zoomer.
true.
And honestly, millennials are just kind of caught in the middle of it all.
We're just kind of here like, fuck it, you already put the housing crisis on us. Like, just leave us alone.
We're gonna try to figure this shit on our own. Fuck you.
I'm not even going to see my social security. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you go and eat up my tax dollars there, homie. Yeah, appreciate you. But
Meanwhile, we're having
no,
nostalgia
so-
trips on RuneScape all the time.
right.
We're like,
But
just
it's just-
anything for the good days, please.
Just for that small morsel of hope that you just need to get through the day.
You see the fireworks come up when you get 99 fucking cooking, and then you're like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, the days of playing pinball.
Oh god. Oh,
God.
Windows XP pinball.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
man.
Well, see, and so, you know, but the thing is, you know, as and I'll using titles, just for the sake of generalizing generations here, you know, for millennials, we do kind of get the shit end of the stick here because it's
We went from analog tapes to like iPods in like less than 3 years.
we went from VHS to turning on a TV and putting on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, I remember having to take a screwdriver and getting into the VHS tape and wind that bitch back.
Now
like,
you got to do it with a pencil to be a pro.
That's fair. That's fair. I didn't master that class. You know.
You took the eraser and just yeah.
I still have
But-
VHS under my media center now from when I had them as a kid.
Damn.
Yeah, I still have a VCR in the closet too.
God.
Might be able to get
Well-
some money for that.
I was say you might want to like go on and try and see about selling that.
Yeah, my old ass Panasonic with a VHS and DVD player combined.
Oh damn.
Hey, people pay good money for that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
That's why
Give
I
it,
sit
give
in
it
the
another
closet.
5 to 10 years.
Hey, that's why I sit in the closet and not anywhere else.
But I just feel like, you know, we got the shit into the stick because you're right, exactly. It is a case of boomer versus zoomer, because, you know, and honestly, a lot of people in our generation of millennials got the boomer mentality because they were raised in the thinking that video games are inherently bad.
Yep.
You know, you know, it's, and this isn't going into detail on like and, you know, sensitive topics, so just a heads up here, but this isn't talking about like Columbine or anything like that, like, well, oh, this game's going to make you want to go shoot up something. This is literally directly derivative to education and how video games affect a person while they're, you know, in their education. And as we were growing up, you know, I remember distinctly my mom, like, I had to literally beg and plead, like, please, I want this game. Like, I want to be able to play this game. Well, did you do your schoolwork? Yes. Did I lie? Absolutely. But kids don't do that. Kids don't do that.
I don't doubt it.
But the thing is, you know, my mom still had that mentality of like, well, this video game's going to rot your brain, you know, go outside. And the thing is, I still went outside. I still went and played, you know, with my friends when I was a kid. I still went and hung out with friends as a teenager. I still went out.
Yeah.
But just as I am as an adult right now, when my day is done and I'm sitting at home, instead of sitting there with my face and my phone screen for hours on end, or, you know, sitting there with a thumb up my ass, I'm going to sit there and play some video games because it's a way I can unwind in my day. Does it rot my brain now? No, actually, quite the contrary. It helps me do my job a lot better because of what I do for my job. But, you know, it's a matter of like the generational mentality, man. Like, I and chat again, tell us what y'all think on this, but y'all, I mean, I don't want to ramble anymore. Y'all tell me what y'all think on this. Like, do you, like, with the generation gap, what do you think would fix that? Like, what do you think is going to help that for kids growing up who may still have these grandparents and even some parents? Because we're at that age where I'm a parent, you know, I'm turning 30 this year. So it's like all the folks I went to high school with, all the folks we went to high school with are in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yep.
All, you know, well, not all, but a large majority are turning parents. So how is it that they're going to teach their kids? You know, what would y'all say to that?
Well, I mean, I feel like you'd have the best insight into that since you are now a parent. Like, because I haven't thought about how I'm going to do that. Like, I'm probably just going to be like, fuck it, whatever. Just leave me alone. But like,
Just let daddy drink his beer.
But I mean, you're the one with the kids. So, I mean, like, I'm sure it's come across your mind.
I need my old Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so but that's the thing though, is I feel as though I'm gonna be a little biased.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing video games for so long, but I have a respect for video games. I have a respect for the ability to have consoles that I've paid for, to have a PC that I've paid for, to have things that I have paid for as far as gaming, to do that. I have gone through that process. You know, when I grew up, I didn't have the money to buy that stuff, but I respect it that much more because I knew it was not readily available.
Yeah.
And so I guess that respect factor has like kind of evolved in my head a little bit, that I'm going to teach my son as he grows up, like, look, you're going to want this video game. Well, then here's the understanding behind it. You know, yes. And Anderson, you hit the nail on the head. When you go to school, it doesn't matter if you go to private school, public school, home school, whatever school you go to. When you go to school, you're going to have homework. Your homework is to be done before I hear that game cut on. And once your homework is done, is so long as your grades aren't tanking and you're focused on your studies, then guess what? Go play video games.
Yeah.
Because I know.
Yeah, and it all comes back to just being a parent and setting boundaries.
Because here's the thing, and for all you viewers, for me as a parent, two of my closest friends are sitting right here on a screen in front of me. I don't see them all that often except for right here. But how do I hang out with them? We play video games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Texas and you guys are in Virginia. Like, I mean, there's no way for us to hang out like IRL. I mean, this is the closest that we've come to like actually hanging out in a while.
Exactly.
Like, and so,
but like even with Anderson, being 30 to 40 minutes away, 45 tops with traffic.
Yeah.
I still don't see you every day. I might be lucky to see you once a week.
Yeah, you're lucky if that. My gas can't handle all that.
Exactly. But that's the thing is like, so what do I do is I have the ability to hang out with my friends here, translating that to my son. I know his friends are going to want to play video games as well. So yeah, you're not gonna be able to see your friends every single day. But if you and your friends want to key up on Call of Duty or key up on Halo or whatever big game is out at the time and you want to play, that's fine. Are there going to be boundaries and rules? Absolutely. You're not going to play the game all night because I don't want to deal with your cranky ass when you wake up in the morning to go to school. As simple as that. I know how it was.
Yeah.
I stayed up late way too many times.
And go and crash at the first period, just boop.
Yeah.
Had some of the
Well,
best sleep of my life in first period.
Honestly.
Honestly.
First period English, my ass was out.
But that's exactly the mentality I'm going to have. Is he's going to have to respect the game before he can actually, get into that of his own. And as he grows up, yeah, sure. Like, you want this game? Okay, let me teach you what work looks like. Because now it's no longer just education. It's dad's pocket has to have the money to do this. Well, if you want the money, you have to earn it from dad, just like dad had to earn it from his job to pay for his games.
Yeah, so go cut the yard.
but you laugh, but it's true. Like it's like
100%.
It's like, okay, well, I want to see the bathrooms all cleaned in the house, and I'm going to check them, and if they're great, cool, then you can play your game, and here's some money, go buy a game.
Just don't swallow the bleach, please.
Or
If you
eat the
do
Tide
laundry,
Pods.
I was saying, if you do laundry, don't eat Tide Pods.
They look like candy, but nope, they ain't.
No. But I feel as though, and not to hover on the idea of it constantly being a hindrance, but moving towards how it could be a good thing is if schools took the time to understand the video game culture, they could use that to effectively help teach.
Yeah.
Because the best way to teach is to use metaphors and straight up situations that someone's going to be in for their brain to go, oh, that's how I could process it.
And that even started, like, if you look back, you remember, what was it called? Cool Math Games?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, that was, way back. I mean, we're talking, like early thousands, like something like that. But that was, I'd say, probably other than like Oregon Trail, but like, some of the first like direct result of using a video game to teach. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
yes, because I mean, like, and I feel like that's the direction that things are kind of heading in. I mean, there's not somebody creating a math version of Call of Duty, although there probably is one out there. But I mean, it's starting to head more.
Would not surprise me.
Yeah, no, it really wouldn't. But it's starting to head more and more in that direction that, the educators are starting to use that, what you said, metaphors and references to help teach that, but then also that like the direct actual product to teach it as well.
Yeah, because when we were in school, you definitely didn't see no teachers referencing like Doom or anything like that. Whereas teachers nowadays, they're using games like Modern Warfare and stuff like that to even like example something like that goes on in history or stuff like that.
Anderson, I don't know how, but you had unmuted in Discord, so I had to disconnect real quick.
Oh no,
it's all good. I got it disconnected, so we're good now.
Okay, but I mean, did you catch all that?
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
he caught it in stereo.
Yeah, no, I heard it twice. Trust me. Yeah.
I heard that echo, my boy.
Yeah.
But it could very well, going back to this, it could very well be that there's like some Call of Duty game out there that's a math based or science based or whatever based game. But the thing is, like, even
how far can I launch this nuke to blow this motherfucker into smithereens?
So on Math Day, we're gonna learn parabolas.
We're gonna learn how to launch this motherfucker.
But we're going to learn angles. At what degree should this be to get maximum distance to hit the target 500 yards out? Like, no.
Just apply gravity.
Like, so y'all might remember this. I remember that even as a kid, there was a website that had a bunch of games on it, both educational and non-educational, and that was
games.
Bingo.
Addicting games.
Yep. Kitty Cannon.
Yeah.
Kitty Cannon was so good. Yeah.
Yes.
But like they had educational games on there, and I remember that I did have one teacher. I can't remember his name, but I do remember he was in middle school. He was awesome. He was my math teacher, and he would let us play on addicted games, but he chose the game, and he would use it in his class to actually, teach. So it was a math-based game, of course, and so he was using this to help teach us. And guess what? We all passed.
Yeah.
With flying colors. Like, but that's because it's almost in the sense of, so looking at it from the standpoint too, when we all play video games, we all have fun. Yes, there's stressful moments, but we all have fun. The purpose of video games is to de-stress and have fun. Unless you're in MLG or any kind of esports tournament, whatever, then you're kind of sweaty. We get it, but
I mean, it's a
the
job,
premise,
so
yeah, you're making money. We 100% understand. But when you're looking at it from the standpoint of that, like of being able to have fun, well, now apply that same fun to education. If kids are having fun, they're retaining a lot more information. If I hate a video game, if I despise a video game because of how it's built, the mechanics are trash, whatever, I'm not playing that video game anymore. And I'm not going to retain how to play it. I'm just going to remember how bad it was.
Yep.
But if you flip that and go, okay, well, this game is a lot of fun. Now let's turn it into education. Well, guess what? Now you're not only having fun playing a video game, you're having fun during education, and your kids are going to have fun with both. So it's almost like you magically take the stigma away.
No.
And now the parents have
Really?
nothing to complain about.
Oh my God, a stigma that shouldn't exist in the first place is gone. Wow.
Yeah, right. Before we move forward, I do want to say that we are going to have to pause for a moment so we can take a quick break. We're going to come back to the same topic, and you all see this in the episode as well. But before we do, want to go give a quick shout out to everyone in the chat. And also, if you haven't yet, while we're on pause, go ahead and click the links. You can go to our Anchor channel and follow us there to keep up on all the current and previous episodes as well. And also go ahead and hit the sub button on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, while you're there, you can also add some comments and add some questions in there that we can go ahead and answer when we come back.
Yep, definitely.
Boom.
See you here in a few.
And we're back. And so if you're just tuning in, we are currently talking about the effects of how video games affect education and the stigmas on video games and education, all that fun stuff. So thank you for tuning in. As we said right before we paused, if you haven't yet, definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay up on all things TGB. And also go ahead and check out the links down below. And if you don't mind showing us some love, we greatly appreciate it. And we're going to jump right back in. So I believe, Anderson, you had left off, or getting ready to say something rather, before we went to pause. What was it, sir?
Yes, I was going to go ahead and say that there are also some specifics when it comes to relating with students and everything, coming back to education and gaming and what exactly they can gain from it when it's not used as either a hindrance tool as you would have it. So the ones I've seen, and the ones, because I actually had to do papers about this in college, because go figure, it was one of the topics. But the ones that I saw was that it can increase like cognitive behavior and learning. And it definitely increases with hand-eye coordination, because everybody knows to get good at any game, you can't stare at a controller.
Gotta get good, kid.
Yeah,
get
exactly.
Good.
You can't play Dark Souls while looking at the controller. But then you also have where it can expand a child's memory capacity, and it can help sharpen their exterior or peripheral vision. It can help with that. It expands the memory and helps with the peripheral vision, because in games you have to look around the surroundings and everything like that. You had to know where enemies coming from, what it's doing, and all that fun stuff, and like where flashes are coming from, for example.
Yeah.
And for and then for the last one I had was that it, especially games, it really helps with kids with like attention disabilities or disorders like ADHD, ADD, and other forms of learning disabilities, because then they have something they can focus on that's entertaining, interactive, and they can learn from that. And when they finally wind down from whatever their disability may be, or they fully concentrate, they're able to learn better and quicker, and able to actually keep attention to whoever's teaching or stuff like that. Because I know me, since I have ADHD, I had a lot of problems with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you're saying that these are like actual, factual, scientific studies?
Yes, I'm saying they're. Yep, so, I'm saying that, and I have the.
Well, people don't listen to scientists anymore anyway, so I don't think that's really good.
Yeah, you can look at this whole past year and see that shit.
Mm-hmm. So I was about to say, well, just listen to that, but then people were like, no. No.
So, and of course, I know I'm super bright on the screen right now, but I have Google pulled up in front of me, and I just wanted to see if maybe what we were saying was just absolute ludicrous BS, straight opinion, no facts. But I just pulled up two separate pages right here, both on Google. You can literally go to Google right now and type in video games and educational benefits.
Yep.
Okay. The first one is from Iberdrola.com. Now, Iberdrola, I'm assuming, is an opinion page, because I looked at their page just now just to fact check what's going on. And they're an energy company, apparently, who decided to talk about this. Don't understand why, but hey, we're going with it. The benefits of playing video games, they state, are they speed up response times, Anderson. They encourage teamwork. They stimulate creativity, focus, and visual memory. What up, math teacher? Appreciate you. They improve strategy and leadership. They teach languages and critical thinking.
Yeah, I don't know about the teamwork one. You could go between League of Legends and then Modern Warfare to see that one. So,
but that's the thing is, like, with a team building exercise, if you prime example. Last night.
Yeah. Among
Sam
Us.
and I had never
Oh no, yeah. Well,
Sam
Among Us would work too, but Payday, yeah.
We had never played Payday 2, but through learning the game and playing the game and having fun with it, guess what? We built this teamwork atmosphere where, like, Anderson, you were the ammunition specialist. I was the medic. Sam was useless because he had body bags. And, like...
Because it never got to the point where we needed body bags. Like, trust me, there were plenty of bodies, but we didn't need to bag them.
No, they set the ammo guy out there, like, go get him. And then the rest, they did the objectives. That was literally the whole last level.
That's exactly it. But it took us learning it together, because we had never played that game together. It's not like we've been playing Call of Duty every single night for the last 6 months. We just started playing that game last night together, and we were able to build this teamwork atmosphere where we're like, all right, rooftop, everybody knows where to run, get up there, okay, who's down, get him, like, like knowing just, we may not have call outs, but even so, we're brand new to the game, but we were still able to build that teamwork. Now reflect that into education. If you have teams, it doesn't even have to be a prize at the end of all this. Like bragging rights. I remember in school, bragging rights were more important than the candy you would get at the end of a competition. Like,
I don't know. That candy, at least for me, was the entire reason I wanted to win anything.
I only got dog shit candy, so it was just.
I didn't give a shit what kind of candy it was. Like, put it in my mouth. I said it. I said it.
Sam's life motto right there.
but I also want to read this other one real quick. And so this is from Engadget.com. And Engadget.com is, now this is a little bit older one, but Engadget.com seems to be like.
They're like tech reviews, like stuff like that. Like I follow them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so the following are some of the cognitive benefits of playing video games. This is more of an opinion piece as well, but it follows right along with what we said. Improves coordination, improves problem-solving skills, enhances memory, improves attention and concentration. It is a great source of learning, improves the brain speed, enhances multitasking skills, and improves social skills.
Yep.
And you can find plenty of articles and stuff like that when you use hot take for everyone out there. Google Scholar, and you go and look up peer-reviewed and actual scientific studies. There's plenty of them out there, and you can actually just type it in the web page and search them.
Just like to point out, my fiance in the chat for all to see has called me a fat ass because of the candy comment.
Yep. Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Its finest, people.
Yep.
Just have her put candy in your mouth, and you'll be fine.
Oh yeah. That'll be great.
But so wrapping this over as well, now talking about teamwork and such, because we all love a good segue. The last portion we're going to talk about is how colleges are now building out esports teams and recognizing esports as a sport. Now, grade school, if you're a teacher and you're watching this in grade school,
please don't
hear me out right now. If colleges are putting together esports teams and recognize them as sports, and you are an old head and still think that video games are bad, go to those colleges and get a different education and then join the esports team and tell us differently. So,
but I mean, there's literal
esports,
life-changing scholarships on the line for these things. Like, I mean, there are kids that get full rides for esports teams.
Yeah, but also don't go and make an esports team out of third graders. Use some common sense, people.
No,
please.
of course not. But I mean, it's going to be like
please do. I want to see that. No, to hell with that. I want to see that.
I want to see some third schoolers whooping ninjas' ass.
I mean, although they could, I mean, they got like third grade football teams and stuff. Like,
I just because I saw it at New Year's, it just hit me in the brain. But I would love to see a third grader straight just snipe ninja at a tournament and then run over behind him and start flossing behind him.
No, I want him
let's
to
see some movement.
I want him to throw down some twisted tees and then start like DDoSing over him.
God,
that'd be hilarious. Just bodied.
But the fact that, and Sam, you're exactly right. There are life-changing scholarships on the line for this, and not to mention, but not only are they building esports teams, these players are getting picked up by big-name teams right out of college.
Yeah,
getting six-figure plus deals right out of college. They could literally do without the education they were getting. It's just for the fact that they were so good at their sport. And here's the thing, too. And mind you, I'm going to say this. I know all three of us do. We all watch football.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a football player going and getting a full scholarship and then getting drafted in the NFL?
A lot.
Between him and an esports player getting a scholarship to college to do their sport and then getting picked up by a pro team to play pro-am or whatever anywhere else.
Conceptually, nothing, but I mean, physically, there'd be a lot of things, like overall shape,
I'm talking more so
skin color.
I mean, if you want to talk about it,
I'm no longer here.
I mean, no, I'm not going. I'm going to let.
But what I'm saying is, and I'm talking about it in the general sense of sports. I'm not talking about the physicality.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the general sense of sports.
Yeah, I was just
because
memeing.
Think about it like this. Football players get paid less than baseball players, and granted, they're not getting tackled by 300-pound plus men, mountains of flesh, trying to run a ball into an end zone.
Right.
So it's like you like generalize, like you can't say like one's more than the other. Like everyone's going to have a different physical standard to their game. We get that.
Right, but if you want to boil it down to the schematic of just sports from going from high school to college to pros, then yeah, it's all conceptually the same thing.
Exactly the same. Exactly
Yeah.
right.
But you got to boil it down. You can't just say football,
You do.
baseball, and esports are the same thing. No, that's not right.
You do. It just comes down to the standard fact of a sport played in college to the pros.
Yeah.
That's it. No physicality. We're not basing the saying like, oh, a DK Metcalf, who's the wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, who is literally like, I'm talking a Greek god when it comes to physical standards.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about him compared to Ninja.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Like-
They're two different sports. You can't do that.
I literally watched DK Metcalf not probably 5 weeks ago chase down Buda Baker after Buda Baker was trying to get a pick six, and he chased him down 80 yards. I've never seen a gamer run 80 yards and chase down a cornerback like that. We're not
unless you're
talking about
top
that.
Have we seen a
Mountain Dew
gamer
and
run
Cheetos.
80 yards? Like,
Honestly. But
The only
like,
time I've seen a gamer run 80 yards is when he's running from the cops. That's about it.
I don't. What?
why would the gamer run from the You know what? Let's just move
Because
on.
he stole a PS5.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Exactly. He stole
There
it
we
at
go.
PS5 because let's face it, no one's going to steal Xbox One Series X
Maybe.
if they desperate.
Yeah, true.
Still
you know,
money.
But looking at that standpoint, you know, boiling it down, like you said, full generalization here of just sport to sport, not talking about physical stance, not talking about the physical work that goes into it, but just as a sport. Colleges are recognizing esports as a legitimate sport and giving life-changing contracts, life-changing scholarships for these students to go to school and be on their esports team. A school literally right here in our backyard, Liberty University, has one. That's nuts. That's nuts that they have one, but they recognized it.
Yeah, especially considering
So-
how like kind of overall conservative they are. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, like
that's
correct.
they're not going to be your more progressive school by any means. So like, you know, the fact that they're quote unquote old heads recognize that. You
And
know?
that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah,
That's-
and good on them.
And that's a good thing. Like, you know, good on Liberty University for recognizing that, because they are now able to help lead the charge for people who are in that similar mindset of kind of like that. And I say this term and not in the sense of political stance, but in a conservative mindset, like a very old style thinking of video games are inherently bad. They're being able to go, look, no, that's not the case at all. We have guys on and ladies on our teams who are playing these games and literally going out and winning tournaments and then getting picked up for thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to go play on pro teams. Just like any other sport, we're recognizing that video games are changing lives. Video games literally are changing people's lives daily. It's not just the fact that someone sits in front of a screen and streams for 8 to 10 hours a day. It's the fact that these people are going to school, getting an education, and while getting an education, they're playing the sport of their choice and being good enough to go on to the pros.
And
That is
training practices
amazing.
Takes hours of work.
Oh yeah,
Correct.
It's still hard work. Like it's not just sitting there being a
is.
lazy bum. Like I mean, you're not engaging physically, but you're engaging mentally, and that's the biggest thing.
From my perspective, I'll say this, and I'll use last night as an example. When I got done with our stream, because we all finished up and we talked for a brief moment afterwards, then we all said, all right, see you tomorrow night. Good night. Bye. I sat right here and I went, damn, my brain is fried. Not in a bad way.
It's turning to mush.
I was still riding that wave of like, dude, that was fun as all get out. But I was tired. I was like, wow, I did not realize that this took so much brain power, like, and just like continuous focus and continuous concentration for this to work.
Yeah.
Like, I have mad respect for streamers who do this like 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a
gosh.
week. I have mad respect for them because
They are
that takes a
committed.
lot.
Especially on the
Yeah.
like the more administrative side. I mean, like you know, like is like managing the stream and everything like that. Like on my end, because this is the first time I had done anything of that length. I mean, the longest we had done previous was these podcasts, and they're an hour to an hour and a half long. Like, so that's not much, but 6 hours. Like, and I had just gotten off work. Like, I was fried. I passed the fuck out, and then I woke up and passed out again.
But that's the thing, is looking at it from the standpoint of in education. So they're doing this. They're practicing for their upcoming games, you know, for whatever tournament they're playing in, whatever school they got to play against, whatever it is. They're practicing for this every single day. They're making sure their education is taken care of, because for a scholarship, you have to maintain your education. If you don't maintain your education, that scholarship goes bye-bye.
Yep, and you go bye-bye.
So they have, correct, and you're no longer in that school. So they have to practice, they have to maintain their education, and they have to win. They have to build their credibility. It's just like any sport. If a team goes 0-16 and in the NFL, they're trash. Like, I can't sit here and say that I could play their positions, but for the sake of what they're supposed to do, they didn't uphold their job. You're getting paid to do a job. Your job is to play this sport.
That's why you see trades and let-offs go, because they weren't on their end of the bargain.
Exactly. So, looking this at education, because I know we have to wrap up soon, but if colleges are recognizing this, and we and us as a nation have this mentality that right out of high school, education continues, go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. They have career days and college days every single week in senior year of high school.
Ugh.
I hated those.
Like, so many different schools reaching out to you. You got to apply and do all this and that, and oh my God, I hope I got into the school of my choice.
God, I have so many problems with that system.
I do too. But
that's a very long topic for another day.
Yeah. But if schools, if education is the prime focus coming out of high school, and colleges are recognizing that video games are actually a lot more good than they are bad, and I would almost go to a 95.5 percentage rating there, 95 good to 5% bad. If schools are recognizing this, why can't parents, why can't grade school teachers, why can't, honestly, people who have to handle these kids from kindergarten until senior year of high school, why can't they get that through their heads?
I will say this, because 2020 should have let everybody know that regular people, do not listen to the advice of professionals or experts.
Correct.
Not as much.
Study yourself. And this is a great note to leave on. I'm glad you said that, Anderson. I'm glad. So thank you for that. A great note to leave you on for tonight is, if you are a teenager, a kid, if a kid's watching this, oh my God, I'm sorry, parents.
If a kid is watching this, you need to go to your parents and just be like, why don't you?
Why? But seriously, this is a great opportunity for you to understand, even as an adult, if you're in college and you're just not quite getting it, like you just feel like there's this weird block. Anderson hit the nail on the head. Do not listen to the professionals, because if you do the research yourself, there's something they could have missed that you're going to miss out on. That if you do the research and see that something is successful, I'm a firm believer, and I know y'all know this, I'm a firm believer in do what you want to do so long as you don't hurt yourself or anybody else. In this case, especially in education, do your research, because there are so many benefits to not even just finding a career in video games. We do this for fun. We aren't making any money doing this.
Negative.
We do this because we love doing this. We play our challenges on Saturday nights because we love doing that. We edit videos and edit thumbnails and edit the streams and all this fun stuff. Everything we do, the whole conglomerate of what we do, is all because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't hurt anybody else. It's because we love video games and we love what we do. At the end of the day, do your research. If you want to do it, go for it. Don't go in blindly, but do it. Like, research it, make sure it's for you, and go for it. And then for all the boomers out there, please think but for a moment that it is indeed 2021. We just went through an entire year of hell. It may be high time for you to think, maybe I could change my mind on something. Because this could ultimately affect your kids, your kids' kids, so on and so forth. And who knows, might negatively affect their education as well if you're so stressed on them for them to be so in your mold.
Smart.
But with that, any closing remarks?
I would just like to say that when it comes to everything like that, and especially with trying to find where you fit in the world and what you want to do and all that stuff, there's infinite ways to live life. There's many ways to make money. There's only one way for you to be happy. Look for what you want to be happy. Listen to, go and research, go to professionals and stuff, but don't take their word for the absolute 100%. Go out and actually do what you want to do and be mindful and make your own decisions. It's common sense, people. It's not that hard.
And to expand on that, you're not going to necessarily find what you want to do straight away. Like, you know, there's no pressure to find exactly what you want to do right out the get-go, right out of high school, going into college, anything like that. You know, yeah, just, you know, take your time with it. You can be 70 years old and then finally find out what you want to do with your life. That's totally fine. So, yeah, my closing, I guess our closing remark is do what you want to do. Don't feel pressure to do what everybody needs you to do. And
do your research.
Do your research. Yep.
Please do your research. It is so very, very important to do your research and have fun. Remember, we're living one life. You got one chance at this shit. Have fun with it. Don't live in this bubble. Go see shit. Do what you want to do, but be smart about it.
And
get
safe.
An education. All right, y'all. Well, on that note, it's been a blast. This has been a great conversation. I've loved this. This has been awesome. You know, again, if you're just now tuning in, sorry, we're wrapping up. But
should have came
podcast rewinds. Podcast rewinds every Monday. Well, actually, yeah. Starting at the end of the month, it'll be Monday, but right now it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the month, we have our playthroughs.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday, 4:45, right here on YouTube, you can check the podcast rewind. Every Friday at 4:45, you can check the challenge rewind. Saturdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find us here streaming our challenge or our podcast like we are tonight. And then also at the end of the month, we'll be doing our playthroughs, so you can tune in for that and have a lot of fun. If you haven't yet, hit the links down below. Go follow us on all of our socials. Hit the subscribe button, that bell icon, so you don't miss out on all the fun discussion. And so you could join in the chat and have some rowdy banter with us, because we do enjoy some great community fun.
That we do.
Yeah.
We do indeed. But we're going to have a good night. We're going to get out of here. We hope you all have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.